speaking of Dark Souls, there's another game that's coming up on a lot of Dark Souls fans' radars. Recently, Koei Tecmo and Sony have released a PS4 exclusive demo for their newest game called NiOh. Is it NiOh?
NiOh.
Don't get confused with codename Neo for the PS4.5. This is a totally different kind of Neo, and it also isn't your black jumpsuit Neo. So we have a different kind of Neo, and it's a very samurai kind of Neo. Think Dark Souls, but in samurai ages. And when I say think Dark Souls, what I'm saying is think exactly Dark Souls, like almost to the T.
Yeah, so I think that they first announced the game around 2006, 2009. Um, and what happened is that they just didn't have the time, or they weren't able to get a game out, or something. Something had happened. In 2012, they had um, they let it be known that they had finished an alpha development cycle, and what that means is obviously that they finished it was kind of a in-house demo of the game, and that was in 2012. Now, and if you remember, 2011 was whenever Dark Souls got released, and you can see the influence. So it's just so thick. It's literally almost a copy and paste of Dark Souls, except with the samurai and the Edo period of Japan. I want to say Edo period, but I don't actually know if that was the period. But there's the enemies are like other humans, but they're demonized, and then the bosses in the game are like Oni, which are demons, and you have the horns and that huge Tengu nose, or they look like that stereotypical lion dog thing that are in the water painted murals and stuff. And it just looks aesthetically, it looks really good. And then they have the whole Japanese thing going on for it. And the main protagonist, your character, is he looks Caucasian, and he has blonde hair and like that typical samurai knot, and people are kind of saying like, well, is that a nod to the Western? What's he called? William. He was in the history books, at least. He's allegedly kind of a legend. I'm not too sure if he was a real person or not, but he was a blonde samurai back in the day, or back then. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of based on William's story. I'm not too sure how close they're going to stick to it or anything, or like if they're just going to kind of pull stuff out of their ass. But it looks really interesting. I'm hoping that it's more than just a Demon Souls clone or a Dark Souls clone. Roger, do you have a PS4?
Yeah, I do.
The demo's available as of recording up until May 5th. So, and then afterwards it's not gonna be available anymore for download. And the demo is an alpha release, an alpha demo. So it's gonna be pretty rough.
Yeah. So, just before the show, I got an opportunity to sit down and watch some gameplay of it. And I mean, yeah, like I said, it's pretty damn similar to your Dark Souls. You have your stat upgrade menus is going to be the same old wall of numbers that are very ambiguous, and you're not 100% sure what all of them mean, at least initially. You get that kind of thing. The combat is third person. I mean, you're relying on timing and combos. I haven't given the game a shot myself, but the one thing that I guess kind of like jumps out at me immediately, both good and bad, I would say, is the violence. I mean, the absolute level of violence that this game has is kind of insane. And it's kind of refreshing to see because maybe since, I guess, the Ninja Gaiden 2, because Team Ninja is the one that's working on this, and they're the guys behind Ninja Gaiden, all the way up
Dead or Alive.
and Dead or Alive. So they definitely have a background in doing games like this, the third person action type game. They're very clearly wearing their inspiration on their sleeve with the whole Dark Souls influence, but the level of violence really does remind me of the Ninja Gaiden series and how excessive they went with their violence. There's
Arm dismemberments are there?
yeah, I believe there was. I haven't played those games in a very long time. Uh,
Oh yeah, no, there. I mean, there were beheadings, arm, legs, everything could be dismembered in the Ninja Gaiden games, and I mean, it's not up to that level in Neo,
NiOh,
that name, man.
Naruto,
I just feel like calling it NIO, but yeah, I know that people are gonna be like, no, 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 no.
Naruto.
Anyway, so yeah, from the from some of the YouTube videos I've watched, there is dismemberments and the all that good stuff. I just saw like a arm falling off, a head falling off, and I didn't really see
Naruto.
anything else falling off of enemies. Oh, you gotta put that Japanese spin on it, man.
Naruto. Uh,
Yep, there you go. Nailed it.
but yeah, dude. I definitely. I mean, I've seen games that are gorier. I guess I was just taken aback by the fact that Dark Souls has been inherently kind of they like to stand a distance away from that kind of violence.
Yeah, I mean, there's violence and then there's gruesome, grotesque enemies, but then there's not really any. There's not a lot of blood.
Right.
I mean, there's still blood, but there's not a lot of it, or dismemberments, or any of the gruesome stuff. But yeah, I know where you're coming
Yeah,
from.
and I mean, like, meanwhile, this game, yeah, you're getting like consistent pools of blood streaming out of like a guy's neck when you cut his head off. I mean, it's cool to see because I hate to say it, and I think Undertale has taught me this lesson that violence isn't the only way to do a game. So I think that's kind of dated a lot of premises. But I think if you're gonna do a game that's very reliant on hacking and slashing, there needs to be something else. If that's all it is, then I think a lot of people are gonna be very hesitant about it. Uh,
Does Witcher have dismemberments and stuff?
yeah, it actually does, and when you
Good.
are able to pull them off, it's very gratifying.
Oh, so it's like a special or end or
No,
finisher?
well, it just sometimes kind of just happens. Like sometimes you'll just hit
Ah,
them
okay.
real
Yeah, man.
nasty at a certain spot, and it just cuts their head off or an arm or something.
That's fair. I mean that's fair because in real life, I mean, you kind of would expect stuff to be flying all over the place if you're using a sword or whatnot. But in video games, I mean, it's not something you want to see all the time, I guess. But in Ninja Gaiden, it happened all the fucking
And
time.
I think that's where they definitely put their own, like, it's their experience developing games. They're gonna put what they think works best, and I would say that it's definitely a cool look. In terms of gameplay, it definitely seems like it plays more akin to a watered down, and I don't want to say that because I haven't gotten a chance to sit down and play it yet, but it definitely looks like a Devil May Cry mixed with Witcher, mixed with Dark Souls, which is not
Hmm.
inherently a bad thing. I mean, that's actually kind of a good thing. But just based on my knowledge, as having been playing games for a long time, I can kind of get the gist of how certain games play. Very rarely will I be really wrong. But based on this, I mean, it seems like it does shit competently. It doesn't do anything, all that crazy with its combat system. Um, the only thing that I just feel is kind of sucky is that you have those games that come out like Dark Souls that define a console generation. Those games that are just so inherently well designed, so right on so many levels, and it comes out and it just defines a genre. Um, and then I see games like NiOh, and I know the game hasn't come out, and it's not fair to judge a game this hard. But you know what? God damn it! I'm not IGN. I'm Roger. I'm Roger fucking Lane. So I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna tell you, at least what I think. It really looks like a cheap knockoff of Dark Souls. It looks like they beat for beat really tried to do what Dark Souls was doing. I mean, for Christ's sakes, there's a taunt menu. There's like the menu you can pull up where you have those animations. It looks borderline the exact same. I'm watching gameplay of
And
NiOh right now.
yeah, literally the menus on Neo is mirrored from Dark Souls. So instead of your menu being on the right side of the screen, it'll be all in the top left hand corner, and pretty much it all. I think it's all mirrored actually, even your stats. And I mean that's kind of silly. I understand because they don't want to be like, oh, well, people see this and say that it's a rip. Let's just flip it, and it's well. I mean, you're still kind of ripping it, just on the other side. Um, and then what really bothered me is that in NiOh, your item interaction or your interaction with anything really looks exactly like when you're kindling a bonfire in Dark
Mm-hmm.
Souls. And when I say, I mean kindling, whenever the first time that you meet a end up at a bonfire and you turn it on, you kind of put your hand out, your left hand out, and then yeah, I don't know, you just kind of set it on fire. It's that's exactly what it looks like in NiOh, and it bothers me. But no, I don't have a but. It bothers me because it shouldn't look like that. It should just, I don't know, put a different animation because it's way too similar to something that's been around for a lot longer.
It has the, and, you know, I think some Dark Souls fans are definitely going to bite when it comes to this game, but when I see this game, I immediately think, and again, it's just I need to sit down and play it myself, but I've made these kinds of predictions before, and I'm usually right on them. Nobody's perfect, but I'm usually, along the right lines. The game looks like it plays fine. It looks fine. It looks satisfying to play, but it literally reminds me of games like Heavenly Sword, or games like Lair, or games like those early PS3 games that really tried to do something cool and then they were all flops. And it wasn't until the
Oh,
first
okay.
3 or 4 years of PS3 being a thing that a really like blockbuster, console generation defining game came out on there exclusively. Which I think may have been infamous. I think maybe even Uncharted 1
Yeah.
if you wanna count that, but I'd say Uncharted 2 more so. Um, but it just seems like one of those games that it's like a Me Too. It's not doing anything that spectacularly different, and not only is it not doing anything different, but it's doing things so similar to Dark Souls that the influence is less of an influence and more like they sat down, made a checklist of what makes up Dark Souls, and started to import that checklist onto their game because
Yeah.
there's just it's too much. The bottom right and left corner each have combat like subsections. Like I can see right there in the bottom left hand corner, there's like a quick hotspot like switch items thing, and it's the 4 directional buttons the way you can like access Estus flasks and stuff in Dark Souls. Um, the
And on the right side of the screen, they have a. I mean this. I mean, okay. I'll let you finish because I mean they do add some stuff that's pretty interesting.
and I agree with you. And as soon as I wrap up, I definitely want you to kind of provide some light to this because I've definitely been primarily negative, really harsh on the game, but it's so goddamn similar, and I appreciate it that it's difficult. I just don't appreciate it that it's trying. It's very clearly trying to be a Ninja Gaiden type game, but they like almost like shoveled in this Dark Souls idea, because the animation, like the beauty of Dark Souls is the fact that like little shit, like the way that enemies fight you, the way that you can predict their movements and learn their movements. I don't see that here. And I haven't played the game, but I'm just sitting here watching some gameplay, and it's like it looks so hack and slash. There's like no art. There is no formula to the way that you fight these guys. They run up to you, slash, run up to you, slash. And I feel like they missed that very key component of Dark Souls, which is timing, which is the almost perfect gameplay balance where the game teaches you without needing to hold your hand. How do you, beat one of the first bosses in Dark Souls? You do it by fucking dying. And this game just looks frustrating in a way because I'm watching you play and it's like, okay, they do a lot of damage, but they're just spamming their attack buttons. I don't see a whole lot going on in that sense. So my outlook is definitely grim. So hopefully you have something lighter to say because I'm definitely I got on the boat for this game for about 10 minutes and I'm definitely off it.
Yeah. So, I mean, the similarities. I already pointed them
Simulator.
out.
The simulators. Go ahead. It's 4 in the morning.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it is.
guys.
The simulator.
The
Oh my God, Roger.
simulator. Naruto.
NiOh.
Naruto.
Oh,
Neo. Naruto.
so the similarities are they're pretty apparent. I already named a few,
Naruto.
but this I'm not I'm not very I'm not as I'm not as down on it as you are, but I'm not as hopeful on about it as you would. I'm sorry, fuck man.
Naruto.
I'm not as hopeful about it as I think that you think I am, because the game. I mean, it looks kind of interesting, but I'm kind of done. I'm not. I'm not done with Dark
Oh
Souls. I
my
need to
God!
play
Start
Dark
over.
Souls 2 and 3. No, okay. Fuck you, Roger. Fuck. I mean, I'm not even that tired. I think I'm just thinking too
I've
much.
been in a daze for a while, so I'm sorry.
That's alright.
Okay. So we can definitely agree is that we don't know how we feel about this because it's an alpha, and based on what we see, it's definitely uninspired, and most likely it has a lot of tonal dissonance with the message and the importance that Dark Souls coined.
I couldn't have put it better myself.